Welcome to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast, where you can learn and be inspired by real-world examples of how technology is transforming businesses and reshaping industries in a language everyone can understand. Here is your host, Neil C. Hughes.
Welcome back to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast, where every day we explore an area where technology is solving real-world problems. And the problem that I would like to tackle today is robocalls and scam phone calls on our smartphones. For me, it feels like the majority of calls that come through to my smartphone now consist of automated messages telling me I need to give somebody somewhere some money or face going to jail. But they all come in different shapes and sizes. And as a result, I know many people now don't even answer the phone unless they recognise their number. And it just shows you how far we've come, because I think it was back in 2002, Kiefer Sutherland's character in that movie called, I think it was called The Caller, he said the line, "Isn't it funny, you hear a phone ring and it could be anyone, but it's a ringing phone and it has to be answered, doesn't it?" But 20 years later, and a call on our smartphone doesn't get answered, it gets ignored, because it's more likely to be a scam. And scammers are getting more sophisticated, but thankfully, so does the technology used to prevent them. And with call centres now open again globally and robocall volume returning to pre-pandemic levels, I wanted to learn more about the solution rather than the problem. So today we're going to be learning more about what T-Mobile is doing in that fight to keep consumers protected. And it's been just over 1 year since T-Mobile launched Scam Shield, a suite of advanced scam fighting tools. And the company also recently shared news about successfully using rich call data and continuing to lead that charge towards more advancements when it comes to protecting consumers from those type of phone calls. So buckle up and hold on tight as I beam your ears all the way to Seattle so we can speak with T-Mobile's Grant Castle, Vice President of Engineering and Services and Quality Assurance, about all this and much more. So a massive warm welcome to the show. Can you tell the listeners a little about who you are and what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. So my name's Grant Castle. Work here at T-Mobile. Been here over 27 years. So I've seen a lot of G's in my time. And I'm currently working with my team to help make 5G real for everybody.
And like you say, 27 years, you have seen a lot of G's in your time. But I'm curious, yeah. Can I ask that you share your origin story, where your passion for technology came from, and ultimately what it was that put you on this path you're on today?
Yeah, no, great question. You know, I started back in the analog days in 1G, and actually started as an intern in college. So I showed up, and I remember my first day, my boss, showed me around the office, and then lunchtime came, and he says, "Hey, let's go take you out to lunch. You can meet some of the guys." I said, "Great." So he's like, "Hop in my car," and we start driving, and I said, "Well, where are we going?" He's like, I don't know yet." I said, "Well, who's coming with us?" He's like, I don't know yet. So then he pulls out his brick phone, his old Motorola brick phone. The thing was huge. And he starts punching away, calls up his first buddy, and he calls up another guy. And then 10 minutes later, we show up at this restaurant. 4 of the guys show up at the same restaurant, and we have lunch together. Now, I understand today, people don't think that's weird, but, that many years ago, the idea of getting in a car, not knowing where you're going, calling some people on the fly and figuring it out, it totally blew my mind, right? So that's sort of where it started, and we've just kind of kept going since then.
Oh man, love that story. And of course, that path took you to T-Mobile. And one of the reasons I invited you on the podcast today was to talk about something that unites people listening all over the world. And that, of course, is their frustration with scams and robocalls in particular. But just to set the scene, how big a problem is it?
It's a really big problem. We have millions and millions of calls every day that are scam calls. And unfortunately, there are people who get more scam calls than real calls. And some of them get literally dozens a day. It can go from being annoying to almost debilitating for some users. So, this has been an issue that we've been working on for quite a few years. And the answer is, unless you solve this problem, the whole idea of using your phone is going to fall apart. People are literally going to not want to answer the phone anymore, right? So this is almost an existential threat to the phone call, right? And so that's what we're trying to do is protect that ability to connect.
It's so right in what you're saying now. I know for myself, if I see a number calling that I don't recognise, I don't answer and wait for the voicemail to see if I should call them back or not, which is not the experience we should be having with our phones. But I'm curious, what are T-Mobile doing in the fight to keep consumers protected? And hey, maybe they can just pick up the phone and answer a call again.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is something we've been working on for quite a few years, and this is very analogous to email spam. Quite a few decades ago, this was the exact same problem for email, right? People are like, oh, I'm getting a spam. This is horrible. And so what happened is technology companies went in and they put technology into their core network to filter spam, put it in a separate spam folder and manage, email traffic for their users. We looked at the scam calling problem and we came to the same conclusion, right? There was people doing apps. There was some sort of database approaches. There's a few things out there. But what we did is we said, we're going to take the fight straight into the core of our network. So we built a scam detection engine inside of our network and built it into the fundamental call flow. So our users didn't have to download apps. They didn't have to have certain accounts or certain activations or certain phones. It just, every phone call that came in went through the scam engine, and we looked for a whole bunch of different signals and indicators that it might be a scam. And essentially, we label every call that we think is a scam as scam likely. And there's and that's automatic. You do nothing. If you're a T-Mobile customer and sign up, that's automatic. The other thing we did was we'll show you it's likely a scam. If you're tired of seeing that, you can turn on scam block, which again is free for all of our customers, and those calls literally never ring, right? So we take care of it at the network layer. Your phone never gets bothered, and essentially you get your phone back, right? You can answer the phone with a lot more confidence than you had before.
And is that for international customers, or is it just the US at the moment and then going to expand after? Or?
Well, this is all inbound calls to anyone on the US wireless network that we have.
Got you. And I also recently read news about how T-Mobile was successfully using rich call data and continued to lead that charge towards more advancements in protecting the consumers, like we were just talking about there. But can you expand on that and how you're leveraging technology to make a difference in a fight against these calls? Because it's almost like good tech versus bad tech, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a cat and mouse game. And we keep going back and forth. So we've done a bunch of work to address scam calls, right? We can detect them. We've done stuff like give away free caller ID to all of our customers. So if they want to see it, if we know what the phone number is, we tell them what the phone number is. So we give them a lot of stuff to detect the bad guys. But our problem was we also need something for the good guys, right? And, there are plenty of good calls that you want to get. Your doctor's office, your prescription's ready, the kid's school is calling, some of these places where you may not have that phone number in your phone, but you want that call. Like that's a good call to get. So with rich call data, what we've done is we've created a secure database at a national level, industry level database where a doctor's office can go register. And not only can they say, here's our phone number, here's who we are, they can actually put a logo and information about them. And then when they call a consumer, the phone will pop up, show the name of the company, show the logo, and actually show you a visual that actually makes you understand, oh, this isn't just a random phone number. This is my doctor's office. That is my doctor's name. That's the doctor office. Like, I can answer it and be confident that that's who it is, right? So not only we're battling the bad guys, but we're trying to lift up the good guys so they have some tools in the fight so they can connect with consumers and really solve the problem.
And I also read recently that T-Mobile has completed filing for a stir-shaken certification with the FCC. And I'm conscious there'll be a lot of people listening around the world that won't even know what stir/shaken certification is. So can you expand on that and what it means for consumers?
Stir-shaken is a standard that's been standardized here in the U.S. to essentially authenticate calls, meaning if a user on T-Mobile's network makes a call and we send this call to some other carrier, we're certifying that user with that phone number is making that call. Seems pretty obvious, seems like a sort of pretty normal thing to do. But because of the way that standards were evolved over the past many decades, there is an ability to do what's called spoofing, or essentially sort of changing your phone number before a call goes out. The reason that was done historically was, hey, if you're a big office building with 1,000 phones in it, you sort of wanted every outbound call to look like it came from one phone number, right? So this idea of changing the number before you send the call out was sort of normal. But of course, scammers took advantage of that, and they do this spoofing trick where they call you from a phone number that, for example, might look like a phone number very close to yours or look like a phone number from a federal agency or something else, right? So they were trying to trick people. So stir-shaken was a standard to authenticate calls, so you can't do it, right? You can't spoof the number. You can't change anything. If it came from this number, we're going to certify that it came from that number. So T-Mobile was the first to certify calls using that standard, and we are now 100% compliant. So every call we send out is now compliant with that authentication. And what that means for consumers is when they get the phone rings and they see the incoming phone number, there's a check mark that says verified, right? So it says, hey, this call we know is coming from this number. So again, it at least labels the calls that we know are verified. Now, you're still going to get calls that are unverified because not everybody's done everything, and some of these calls come from places that have not been verified yet. But the number of calls that people are getting that are verified is increasing, right? And so every day, people's confidence in knowing who is calling is going to get higher and higher. And that's really our goal.
And like I said at the very beginning of the podcast, it's something that people all over the world will resonate with. They've all had those fake phone calls and the scam calls. But I'm curious, do you have any insights on the current consumer perception around this topic? And are you seeing them change at all?
Yeah, it's interesting. Nobody likes them, but it's a surprisingly sort of lumpy problem. There are people... Yeah. They get one or two scam calls a month, and they're like, yeah, it's kind of annoying, but whatever. And then there's literally people that might get a dozen a day, right? Mm-hmm. And in fact, they also might go 3 months with nothing and then have a really bad week and get like 50 of them, right? And so it doesn't really make sense to consumers, right? They really get frustrated. We also see some regional trends. There are some areas that get more. Unfortunately, a lot of that it follows things like natural disasters or other problems where people are already stressed. People already have issues they're dealing with. And scammers know that, right? So they'll go and make scams about COVID or make scams about, maybe a tornado or a natural disaster came in. So they do these things, try to find people that are stressed, and then they essentially double down in those areas to try and trick consumers. So it is a really frustrating thing for a lot of people, and it's annoyance for some. For others, it's a big problem, right? People have lost thousands of dollars to some of these because of tricks that they get, and some of these tricks are really good, right? They change their phone number, they make it look like they're calling from someone else, they scare people, they use foreign languages to try and get other people. And there's so many tricks out there. So we're just trying to put a level of protection for people that they don't have to think about, right? It's just automatic and it's there, and we make it available to everyone so that they can, breathe a little sigh of relief on that because those guys are always out there.
And I appreciate this is a pretty big question. I'm going to ask you to gaze into your virtual crystal ball and ask, what does the future look like for scammers and those bad guys that operate those robocalls? Will we finally see the back of them, or what's your vision for that road ahead?
I would say we've already seen that. I think it's like scam email. Okay, right? So spam has existed for a long time. And where are we at today on spam email? I still get them, but I have my normal inbox and very few of them slip through, right? It's pretty rare. But if I go into my spam box where spam goes, I can look through them. And if I want, I can read them. I don't usually want to read them. It's a horrible box. It's full of awful stuff. But the technology works pretty well, right? So spam email is sort of like, annoying, but people are like, yeah, I'm not too worried about it. I get it. The system, the email system I have can handle it. So I think it's going to be the same way. We're getting to the point where you're going to get verified calls. You're going to get rich call data. When you get a phone call that's verified, that has information about the company calling you, that sort of stuff, you're going to know it's good. You're going to answer it. Things are going to be fine. You're going to get a very small number of calls that are not verified. And your alarm bells will go off, right? It's the equivalent of looking in your spam folder. You can look, right? And maybe, sometimes a real legitimate email goes in your spam folder, sometimes, but you'll be on a lookout, right? You'll know, hey, if this thing's not verified, if this thing's labeled weird, I'm going to know that that's sort of sketchy, right? So my hope is that over time, those number of sketchy calls get smaller and smaller and smaller. And if you get them, you know that it's sketchy, right? Whereas the number of calls that have verified rich data that you really know gets bigger and bigger. And ultimately, it should be when you get a phone call, you have the person's name, maybe their photo, it should be a good experience when you get a phone call, right? You should know exactly who you're talking to. And in fact, with video calling now, I think video calling is going to start being the default. Right? The default's going to be, hey, if I call you, I expect to actually see your face, right? I mean, I think that's what the future phone calls look like. It's going to be really connecting with people. I also fully believe that because my kids almost never call me. They only text me. Phone calling's for like old people like me, I guess. But what's interesting is they do call each other, but it's all video calls now. If they're going to bother making a call, it's a video call. So I think that's probably where the world's going to end up, is richer video communications, and the sketchy kind of scammy stuff is going to be very small and very obvious.
And you were talking there about calls are for old people like you and I, but I've also seen a big influx of younger audiences now that they don't even text for old people. It takes too long to type that out. They just hit the audio button and send an audio message, right?
You're right. I'm so old. I talk about texting, so that's how bad it is. It's funny. I've been in this industry a while. I remember when we got texting, and I remember the first time, and I looked at it, and I'm like, "This is the dumbest thing in the world. It takes forever to do like one sentence. I could have called the person. Like, nobody's going to do this, right?" So I'm going to fully admit that my ability to forecast the future is not stellar, right? I'm not super awesome, but I try.
Well, I'm going to give you a chance to redeem yourself now, because we started the podcast talking about your origin story, what put you here. And also, I want to find out a little bit more about the soundtrack to your tech career, and if there was a song or piece of music that just helps you get your head in the zone, or been the soundtrack to your career, or whatever. Is there a song and a story you can share with us today?
That's a good one. I think there is. I'll tell you. T-Mobile here in the U.S., like I said, I started back in the 1G days. I started back building, analog, base stations kind of in the west of the U.S., and we did not have many customers. We were a very, very small company. And I've been here through the rise. We are now the second largest wireless operator in the United States. And we just kept growing. We kept getting bigger and better. And there were plenty of times along that road where I thought, hey, I don't know how we're going to do. This is going to be tough. There's a lot of competition, things like that. But ultimately, I realized you don't stop believing, right? That's the key, right? So Journey guided my way. We never stopped believing. We kept going. So here I am today. We're doing 5G, and life's good. So I think that's what I got from Journey, and I think that's really helped guide me through my way.
And what a great song choice too! Transcends every generation. Everyone loves that song. But before I let you go, for anyone listening who wants to find out more about any of the features that we've talked about today, the developments at T-Mobile, is there somewhere that you'd like to point them to so they can find that information or contact your team?
Yeah, if they go to tmobile.com, we've got a lot of great information on there, especially on our network page where you can see about our 5G network, our scam calling capabilities, a lot of the other technologies that we've been doing. So encourage people to go check it out.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast. Loved hearing about your story, how you're attacking this problem that we're all experience at some point or other. And I think you said very early on in the interview there, it's just about allowing people to pick up their phone and answer a call in confidence. And that is what it's all about. So thank you so much for sharing that story today.
Yeah, absolutely. Great talking with you.
So a big thank you to Grant for sharing his deep industry knowledge and helping me at least make sense of the recent stir-shaken deadline and the impact that it's having on everyday consumers. And of course, it was also great hearing about T-Mobile and other wireless providers and what they're doing to help fight scammers today and share some insights on current consumer perceptions. But over to you. Will you be answering your phone with confidence? What did you take away from today's conversation? And do you have any stories, questions, or pictures to come on the show, or anything at all that you'd like to share? Please just email me, techblogwriter@outlook.com, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, just @NeilC.Hughes. Keep those questions coming in, and I'll return again tomorrow with another guest. So a big thank you for listening, and until next time, don't be a stranger.
Thank you for listening to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast with Neil C. Hughes. Remember, technology works best when it brings people together.